variety, something different this week. So I thought instead of focusing on just the one car being the HG Prem that I'm currently working on, I thought I'd give you guys a bit of an update as to what is going on in the background at home. So got a fair bit of workload going on this year, got a few cars to get through. One of them being Nick's Cortina that you can see behind me. So you might remember that car from July last year when I finished off doing the mini tubs and the diff, the rear end in this car. So it's back once again for some further fab work. It's quite an extensive list of things to get through, but hopefully chip away at that in the next month or two and get that one back to Nick. So hopefully this year he can get that one finished and I guess ready to do drag challenge, as that is his intention with the car. So we'll go over this one quickly and come back to this. So we've got the Torana sitting, idling in the shed, not really doing anything. It's pretty finished. I haven't really had time to drive this at all since getting it back and all back together, sorry. So I guess the only real changes you might notice is underneath. I'll just grab a torch. Is underneath now the tank is all 2-pack silver instead of the old black that it was painted in. And then I guess towards the front, the only real other changes is finished off some touches under the engine bay. So I ended up getting around to painting those rocker covers in a 2-pack silver. They come out really good. Still yet to finish off a few odd ends. I'd like to put some black leads on it, like I said, and get around to doing some other things to it, but really haven't driven it at all since being finished. I think Dad has taken it out with Mum more than anything, so taking it to a couple coffee and chromes, and car drives really good. Really just needs those tailpipes on the exhaust to finish that off, and yeah, she's all said and done. So over the long weekend, didn't get a whole heap done recently, obviously being Easter was the long weekend, so chose not to go away. Got way too much work to get through, and as you might notice in the background, the hoist is now free. So I had a good friend Jake drop off his VL Calais, as he is racing that up at the Bend this weekend for the I think it's the April Spring Nationals. So he's just competing in Super Street with that car, but it's running a standard bottom end LS1 deal with nitrous. However, he's not using the nitrous weekend. It was more of a time, I guess, to finally bite the bullet and put a belly pan under the car. So a belly pan, containment tray, whatever you want to call it, literally just acts like a nappy in the event if something is to go wrong. I guess the pan catches the majority of the engine oil or coolant that may go under the wheels in the event and prevent an accident. So That car's gone 980s, I think 136 mile an hour. So it was definitely well overdue, especially considering Jake has had an accident before from a same model car putting oil under the tires and rolling. So that was definitely more of a more safe than sorry kind of thing. It's not a requirement in his class. I think he's only going to be running around the 11s with the bottle off. It's run 11.4 so far. So quickly just fabbed up a aluminium belly pan for that, got that all smoothed out, brushed, finished. That turned out really good. So chipped away at that over the long weekend, and this week I guess can focus back on towards the Prem. Nothing too serious update in regards to the Prem, so it's starting to come together. Obviously in the last video you would have seen that it was all painted. Last week at the end of the week picked up all the zinc plating from the zinc or the electroplaters. A couple of people have asked me who I use, so this is all done by Precision Platers over in Elizabeth West. He does a really good job. So these are all the factory bolts, just zinc coated. Of course I do know you can buy brand new bolts, but these are just all the original stuff. Wiper motor, all the K-frame or Y-frame bolts, subframe, got all the backings of the headlights done, starting to come together nice. So just painted the booster in a 2-pack eggshell, and also just finished off the battery tray in a satin black as well, so that's just separate from the engine bay. Put the headlights back in. So also had a good friend finally contacted me. I had an engine lined up to put in this car. I could not find a 186 for the life of me over the last 2 weeks. Ended up picking up a 161 from HK with a 3-speed crunch box behind it, but just wasn't comfortable with using the 161. I think the car deserves a 186. So had a good friend of mine ring me last week. He actually forgot that he still had a HG donor car sitting in his warehouse. So that had a 186 in it with a 3-speed, all complete, just sitting there. I'm gonna say it hasn't run in probably 10, 15 years. It is pretty oily. It's been sitting around, but the old red motors are pretty durable. So I'm pretty confident that we'll be able to get this thing running in no time, but I am gonna paint strip it all. I spent the weekend obviously pulling it out of the car with Lisa. Out within about an hour or two, and then headed home, gave the thing a quick rinse in petrol, went over the whole thing, gave it a quick degrease, and then hit it with the steam cleaner, and it's come up a lot cleaner than what it was. So ideally I did want to separate the gearbox from the back of the engine and then put it up on the engine stand, so then I can pull it all apart. I wanted to paint strip the whole engine, and then before getting it all painted back in the rocket red that they were. So been to Rare Spares last week, I picked up an engine decal kit, so it comes with all the 186 stickers for the top, and obviously all the engine bay stickers that are, I guess there's air cleaner. There's one on the firewall that says caution for brakes, I think it is. One for the radiator and things like that. So just to finish it off in that original look. So when you open the bonnet, it's probably gonna look brand new under there. It's not gonna be concourse, so I might fit an electronic dizzy if I can, and things like that, but it's not gonna be down to every nut and bolt. So I think it'll still look good, but like I said, it's not gonna be concourse. It's just gonna look new, I guess, and how it would have looked when it came out the factory, just with a little bit of a twist. So that's all good and well. I removed the valve cover the other night as I was a bit suspicious once I removed the oil breather cap. So I hadn't actually looked inside the engine yet, and I could see a few, what looked like, I guess, it'd been underwater, this thing. It was a little bit flaky, a little bit rusty under there, so I'll throw up a few pictures. It was a little bit rusty underneath on the first few rows of rocker arms that you'll see under the rocker cover, but the rest were pretty greasy. So I just actually cleaned up all that scale quickly with a screwdriver, removed all that and vacuumed it all up, soaked the absolute crap out of all of it in CRC. I'm just gonna let that sit now for a week, and then while I'm doing other jobs, I will get back to doing this. So I want to go ahead and just put a new rocker cover gasket on it anyway, and new side gaskets, so I'll do all that after painting it. We'll get it all cleaned up, like I said, and looking like brand new. So we'll come back across to Nick's little Cortina that he's been, I guess, chipping away at over the last couple of years. This is finally starting to get towards the near end now. Like I said, finished it off, or did part of my things that I needed to do in July last year, and now that he's fitted up all the driveline, the car is back. So now that it's back, I'm going to go ahead and fit the car up with some chassis connectors. We're going to do a boot floor, fit the fuel cell, parachute mount. The cage that's in the car has been a bit of a pain. So this car actually had a 6-point roll cage put in it, I'm going to say maybe 6-7 years ago, I think it was, up when it was in Northern Territory for a short time. So it does have a 6-point weld-in cage in the car with an X-brace going in through the back seat there, or where the back seat would be. But the design that's been used in the car, which you might struggle to see, so I'll throw a torch on. The design of the main hoop above the driver's head, or the head, I guess, anyone's head, they don't want to recognize the design anymore, and it hasn't been tech inspected before. So see how, I guess, the main hoop starts over here and continues around the whole way in one piece. They don't want to recognize that design anymore, so they've let me know that really, as it sits, that they don't recognize it, and it's pretty much as if there would be no cage. So of course all this roll cage needs to be cut out, and we're going to start again. So I guess the only benefit of that is the cage will now be designed, I guess, by us, and Nick will be able to have the cage built to suit him and his seating position. So we might be able to move the main hoop closer towards the driver, closer towards the pillar, and will be a bit more hidden, and it'll be nice. But it is a shame because obviously the cage that's in the car hasn't really been used or inspected as is, and it does look structurally fine, but for whatever reason it is that they don't see it as I guess, meet their standards. So it's all got to come out. We're going to chop it all out, which is a bit of a bummer, and we're going to start again. So we've got the cage to do, and at the same time we'll do the roll cage. I'm going to do, like I said, the chassis connectors. It's still got to have both front seats mounted. We're going to mount the shifter, mount the parachute, do a boot floor, and that is about it really. I guess there's probably something I've forgotten, but since having the car home, the diff went back up to Nick in, I think it was just a black etch primer, so that he could finish it all off. I'll show you all underneath the rear of this thing. He's done a really good job in painting it all up, and some powder coating. I'll get under the car, flick the torch on, and you can have a look at I guess how good it looks now. Once it's all finished off under there, it's going to look $1 million. Let's have a look. So just come under the car to give you a quick idea of what Nick and his dad have done. So just gone ahead and got some fresh Viking coilovers, painted the diff in a 2-pack gloss black, and as you can see, the anti-roll bar, he's just finished that off in a custom orange powder coat. It's come out really good. Nick's little side business he's got going is powder coating and ceramic coating of like extractors. So he's done all this, which is a Mood Motorsports anti-roll bar that I TIG welded all up. He's had all that obviously powder coated in orange to kind of match the car. It looks pretty good, so something a bit different. It's nice and clean under here. Obviously fitted up now with the tail shaft, so we can do a tail shaft loop if we have to, and obviously work around the driveline in terms of where I do the chassis connectors and how it all fits up. Then I can see where he's going to do fuel lines and things like that. But as you can see, with all the adjustability in this rear end, it's starting to look really good with a fresh lick of paint. Obviously we're lacking a bit of material in this area, so we'll get around to doing a boot floor in here. We'll get the fuel cell all mounted up and she'll start to look $1 million and soon, I guess, start to be a car. Also, while it's here, after we've mounted up the fuel cell, it's going to have a water tank in the boot of this car. So as it runs a water to air intercooler in the engine bay, I think it's a PWR unit. It'll have water constantly running through it and a position in their boot for an ice box so that you can constantly have fresh or cold fluid running through the intercooler just to keep those intake temps down. So we'll do fuel tank. He's going to get a tank made up, I think, locally in the Riverland near where he is. So the car will probably get the tank mounted back when it's at home. And we'll probably do a battery box or battery tray while it's here as well. Thinking maybe a little lithium max as they're nice and light as well. So just obviously finish up and do everything in the boot that's needed. While it's here, he's also just fitted up some cardboard backing or some door cards, so that while it's here, we're going to sort some door trims out for him and get some of those made. He's supplied an old example of one in the back, so we'll get something similar to that made, just in black, and that'll look pretty good too. Just running a GDX 42, I think this one is. He's had it all painted up and it's starting to look really good, so I can't wait to really see this one going and get it going for Nick. He's going to have a bit of trouble on his hands, I think, keeping this front end down. It's going to be a little bit of a handful. So I forgot to show as well, since he had the car back home, he did the front end as well, just in a 2K gloss black as well. And that's come up really good, all new bushes and obviously suspension. So it's got wheeled brakes, that'll help a little bit with the stopping power now, and also look good behind the front runner once he fits up some wheels to it. And it's obviously starting to come together. I think once he gets the car back, it's going to go off to get wired, and the engine's going to come back out for one last time. They're going to give the engine bay, weld up all the old holes that obviously aren't being used anymore, and give the engine bay a fresh coat of orange lacquer. So hopefully that gives you guys a little bit of an insight as to what goes on, not only during the day am I busy with another day job, but this is more of my out of hours thing, just helping mates out and obviously ticking away on my own projects. But I got about 6 or 7 cars lined up that I need to do after Nick, so it's going to be a very busy year. And there's going to be a little bit of more work going on in the background in terms of that. So just trying to start up something small. I won't say too much, but it's hopefully going to get bigger and bigger. I keep chipping away obviously at the YouTube as well, which is keeping me busy. There's definitely no lack of work going on around here. So we'll try and get around to doing all them. Obviously this year I'd also like to do Lisa's little Mazda, do the turbo conversion on that. There's no real pressure there. It all comes down to time and money, I guess, as well. And she'll do that obviously when she's ready as well. So like I said, got a few cars to get through, Nick's being the first in line. We'll try and get this smashed out over the next couple of months, and we can get this car back to him where it can then go on to get wiring, and then hopefully start this thing up and yeah, go racing this year. Thanks again to all you guys for subscribing, for tuning into the channel. It's been bloody good. I'll see you all on the next one. Cheers.